Le Petit Prince, a tale about whimsical elephant drawings, pilots crashing in the desert, and of course, a little prince from the asteroid B612. You might be wondering why such a childish story is not only the second best-selling novel of all time, but a hallmark of literature. But in 857 words, I hope to answer this question. Let's start off with perhaps the most famous moment in the book, the pilot's drawing. Despite other grown-ups dismissing the drawing as a hat, the little prince identifies the true nature of the artwork, an elephant in a boa constrictor. This interaction is the first of many to contrast the difference between child plasticity and adult rigidity. As children, our brains are malleable, and yet to set into the fixed molds that define adulthood. This can be explained by the psychological concept of cognitive flexibility, which is essentially our ability to adapt to foreign ideas and interpret stimuli creatively. As we grow older, however, our cognitive flexibility tends to depreciate, replaced by schemas, which are mental shortcuts shaped over a lifetime of experiences and societal norms. These schemas then reduce our ability to think creatively, a process known as functional fixedness. This also explains why the prince is able to so easily discern the figure as an elephant, while grown-ups tend to short-circuit to the most conventional, socially sensible answer, a hat. Despite the simplicity of the example, Saint-Exupéry is able to convey a much more profound message to his adult audience, not to let their mundane thinking rob them of a much brighter, imaginative outlook on reality. Next, I want to talk about the rose, the love interest of the little prince. The prince originally loves the rose, believing it to be the only one in the universe, but is shocked, then devastated, to find a field of identical roses on Earth. He laments to himself, "I thought I was blessed with a unique flower, and I only have an ordinary rose." And lying in the grass, he wept. A fox comes, and what follows is one of the most powerful excerpts of literature I've ever read. And if you take anything out of the book, I hope it's this. The fox tells the prince that his rose is the only one of its kind in the world because of the time and effort he spent in caring for it, which the prince later explains to the earlier field of roses. "She on her own is more important than all of you, because she's the one I watered, because she's the one I sheltered with a screen, because she's the one whom I killed caterpillars, because she's the one I listened to complaining, boasting, or even sometimes being silent, because she is my rose." Quick side note, I love how Saint-Exupéry chose to use a rose because its symbolic non-human nature allows the reader to envision their own rose, whether that be a soulmate or a best friend. Continuing on, the fox exclaims how these bonds, these connections, is what makes life worth living. "It'll be as my life is filled with sunlight." And speaking of the prince, says, "Fields of wheat don't remind me of anything, but you have golden hair. Wheat being golden will remind me of you." I'm sure we all understand what the fox is talking about. I see life, and even myself, as the sum of the friends I've made, the conversations I've had, and the memories I share with others. And although one runs the risk of being hurt by the roses in their life, it will be worth it, like the fox says, for the color of wheat. Lastly, I want to touch upon the prince himself. Hailing from the asteroid B612, his non-earthly, royal nature symbolizes the purity and nobility of a child, untouched by the vice of man. Through his visits to the 6 planets, talking to businessmen, drunkards, and other characters we see in society and even ourselves, his naive curiosity and inquisitive nature double as a meta-commentary on our world, and through him, we too question what is truly important in life. His fresh outlook provides a much-needed respite in a time where too often we feel this constant, unending burden society puts onto us. How we should think, how we should act, how we should live in a conventional, socially agreeable manner. And it's funny that we feel so attached and connected to this character, because in a way, we used to be the little prince. His death isn't literal, but symbolic of how society strips our innate innocence and curiosity, our childhood then becoming lost to the stars. But if we believe that the prince is somewhere in the night sky, laughing with his sheep, then maybe our inner child is too, not gone, just waiting for us to look up and remember. What I love so much about this book is how simple yet universally profound it is. Every word, every character carries so much more weight than it should, and its message, just like the prince, has and will continue to traverse through different times, different languages, reminding us each on what it means to truly live.